Hello, Sisters in Service. This is your host, Kat Corchado, and today we have Deshauna Barber. Now, you may not know that name right off the bat. Also, a veteran. You remember that, right? So, without further ado, hello, Deshauna. So nice to have you.
So nice to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being on the show. I really appreciate it. So I always ask my people who come on to the show and I ask them about their service. So you are or were an Army veteran, correct?
Captain in the Army Reserve, and I actually served as we call it an associate professor of military science, so an
Mhm.
APMS. So I serve as an APMS at Howard University's ROTC program, the Bison Battalion. So I basically go in there 2 days a month. Right now we're virtual at Howard, or at least through the ROTC program we are. So I go in 2 days a month, and I train the future officers of the world. So these are all cadets. Most of them are under military scholarships. And they will commission if they stay through the program after 4 years and become officers in the military.
What a great role model. That's awesome. So I always ask this question to your favorite assignment and your not so favorite assignment, if you have one.
This is my favorite assignment. Well, actually, no, I took command of a petroleum lab unit in 2014. Yeah, it was 2014 to 2017. So I was a commander at the time. I was a commander a little bit longer. Usually you're commander for about 2 years, 2.5 years. I actually had this assignment for 3.5 years. It was a little bit longer than I wanted it to be. But for the most part, I actually say being a commander was probably my absolute favorite position, although it came with a lot of heavy responsibility. I
Mm.
think it was nice to be in control of a group of soldiers and commander that I wish I had as an early on lieutenant coming into the military. I've
Right.
had a lot of bad examples of leadership. So when I took command of this unit, it was very important to me to use those lessons that I experienced from seeing, poor leadership and toxic leadership,
Mhm.
and being able to kind of shift around how I interact with my soldiers and make it a very family oriented space.
Absolutely. That's a great way to, you know, approach, being a role model, as these young lieutenants and lieutenants to be and future commanders of the military, to see how
Mhm.
someone, you have that favorite person and you're like, oh, I want to be like that. Because that's a great thing. And that's what's needed still in our services. So I read on your bio that your father is an Army veteran, special forces. Whoa. Okay. That's a big deal. But then I was on the SWAN website and I saw that your mother was in the Army too.
Yes, they actually both met at Fort Benning, which is where I was born. But they
Hmm.
both met at Fort Benning. My mom was like a truck driver, so she would drive like LMTVs and Humvees and stuff. And my dad, yes, was infantry and SF. He said that he saw her getting out of the LMTV and he looked at her and said, "I know that's going to be my wife." So ended up shooting his shot. Everything worked out, and 3 kids later.
And the rest is history.
So it's really, really, really awesome that both my parents served. I think, come from somewhat of a patriotic family because it's not only my dad
Hmm.
and my mother, but it was also my brother and sister served. So they actually joined as well. So it was all 5 of us that served in the military. I'm the last person standing that's still in service. Everyone else has gotten out and become vets, but I'm the last person holding down the fort.
Well, you're the first person I met that their entire immediate family was in the like serving or have served in the military. That's quite an accomplishment too. And that says a lot about your parents, you know,
Mhm.
or was it you're going in the Army? That's it.
My siblings chose to enlist right out of high school. I, however, chose to go the ROTC route,
Mm.
mostly because I wanted to serve, but I also wanted to have the college experience. And then I also, thought the military would be a good way for me to be able to pay for 4 years of college. So that was another reason. So it had a lot of benefits in terms of the ROTC program at my alma mater. So that was really, really, really awesome for me to be able to combine the two.
Absolutely. So let's switch gears a little bit. Tell me about when you first thought about going into pageants. Was it something you've always done? Was it something you just recently thought about, or has this been like a thing you've been doing? Tell us a little bit about that.
So pageantry wasn't something that I was exposed to growing up. I had never seen a pageant a day in my life until I was 19 years old, and I was working at Target, and a woman approached me and said, "You look like you could be the next Miss USA." This wonderful woman ended up becoming a close friend of mine and a coach in my early years of pageantry. And she somehow in this conversation convinced me to compete in my first state pageant, which I did, which was Miss Virginia USA. Mm-hmm. And I went through and competed for 7 years. I competed each year. Each pageant is once a year. And on my 7th try, in my last year of eligibility, because you age out at 26. So I was 25 at the time that I competed on my 7th try. And I won Miss DC USA, and then, went on to win Miss USA. So it was a long time coming. I was coming into pageantry at 19 is a little bit late in the game, mostly because a lot of pageant girls start off in their teen years. And usually they're competing for teen titles. So at 19, it sounds early, but it's pretty late for most pageant girls. They've usually had a whole history of pageantry. So I was kind of a amateur at it and had to go through and really get a coach in my final year and finally invest the time into learning about what I can do to make sure that I look my best on the stage, that I speak well, that what I wear and the way that I approach these judges is appealing to them. And eventually I got it right on the very last year that I could compete. So that was a real blessing for me. And then, of course, went on to become the first soldier to win Miss USA, and then went on to compete and place top 9 at Miss Universe. So it was a really awesome experience. I think that growing up with 2 military parents, I grew up in somewhat of I wouldn't call it a feminine household. I was very much a tomboy and someone that, was out with the boys playing in trees and, in the woods. I was definitely a backwoods girl where, a lot of my time was spent outside. So in terms of like dresses and makeup and dolls, that wasn't really my vibe growing up. So pageantry gave me an opportunity to get in touch with a feminine side that I really didn't know that I had. And so I, tried on my dress and got my makeup done and all these things that I've never really done before. So it was very intriguing to me to be able to see that side of myself kind of flourish. And I also think that it brings a different, unique image to pageantry. Oftentimes we have this image set in our brains on what a pageant girl looks like, but to be honest, we're quite unique. And I think being able to show that there's one that's in the military shows the versatility of women.
Yes, it does. And I know that during that time you had all these women, active duty and veterans, going, yes. So when you do these pageants, is there a talent portion of it at all? Or is the Miss USA, is that the one that has a talent part to it, or no? As you can tell, I know nothing about pageants.
No, it's okay. Thankfully I was competing in Miss USA and it does not have a talent portion because I would have nothing to offer people. So I'm very thankful. It's Miss America that has a talent competition. Miss USA and Miss America are like Coke and Pepsi, where the purpose is the same, but they're kind of totally different. So yes, America has a talent. USA does not, thankfully, which is why I avoided America at all costs. Cause you have a lot of women that really want in there.
Right.
No talent. And I'm just like, come up here and talk. If y'all want to hear me talk, that's my talent, but that's really all that I have to give you.
Right. It's interesting that this, someone walked up to you and said, you could be the next, Miss USA. And no one ever said that to me, but you went with it. You were like, okay, let's try this. You know, a lot of people will be like, "Oh no, thanks, but no," and you're
Yeah.
like, "Hey, let's do this. Let's see what this is about." So was the Miss USA, was that harder than the other, or is it along the same lines, just on a bigger stage?
Harder than what others?
The other, like the local pageants you were in, you know, how you're in,
Yes.
are there requirements more strict, or is it more difficult because there's more people involved? And of course it is a bigger stage because, you know, everyone sees that. But yeah, I just wanted to know that part of it.
So it's actually two sides of this. So it's tiers. So you compete at your state level, and if you win like
Hmm.
Miss Mississippi, you go and represent Mississippi at USA. And if you win
Right.
USA, you go to represent USA Universe. And you compete against like over 80 different countries. So the because it's different tiers, the competitive level increases
Mm.
every stage you move up. So that's one side of it. But surprisingly, which people ask me this sometimes, like, is it easier? Is it harder? What I found, ironically, is
Mhm.
that the competitive level increased, but it actually became easier as you move up. And
Mm.
here's why. So when you compete for Miss DC, for example, which is what I won in, when you compete for Miss DC, you are competing as an individual.
Mhm.
You the coach that you get, you pay for. The dress that you get, you pay for. Your makeup artist, you pay for. Your hair, you pay for. Everything is out of your pockets, out of your time.
Of
You know,
course.
it's all on you, right? Very difficult when it's just you, nobody to help, right? But when you win Miss DC, there is an entire staff that they put behind you to prepare you for Miss USA, right?
Oh,
So you
wow.
have a dress sponsor, you have a makeup sponsor, you have a hair sponsor, extension sponsor,
Mhm.
you have a coach that's assigned to you that you do not have to pay for. Everything is given to you, and you have a team that's in charge of preparing you for USA. When you get to USA and you're competing for Universe, it's even easier because now you have an entire office of people that's placed behind you to prepare you for
Mhm.
Miss Universe. So you're
Got
not
it.
on your own, right?
Thank goodness.
So what I would say the competitive level increases,
Mhm.
but it does get easier because of the teams that's placed behind you to prepare you for the stage.
That's good to know. Not that I'll probably be in a pageant in my next life, but it's interesting to me because I would see it, and you know, to me, I used to compete in sports, and again, in each level it gets harder. And but
Mhm.
pageantry, I was always intrigued by, because the women look so beautiful in the dresses and everything. And you know, you hear stories about pageants and stuff, you know. So coming from the very top like you are, I just wanted you to elaborate a little bit on that. And thank you for letting our audience know more about the pageantry. I wanted to know about it, just saying, because I think it's fascinating. So, take us back to, when did the position of CEO for the Service Women Action Network, how did that come about?
So that was actually, I think, fate for sure, and destiny, because in October 2019, I get a random email from Service Women's Action Network, and it was their newsletter, and it was a job announcement for the CEO position of SWAN. And this is an organization that I heard of prior email. I actually don't even know how I became a part of their distro. I had never signed up to receive emails from this organization. I'd never really heard of them. I had no idea how they got my email, no clue. So, you know, I looked at it, I'm like, wow, this is really interesting. And, you know, right after Miss USA, I became a full-time motivational speaker, and I've been speaking ever
Mhm.
since 2017. And I knew that as I was approaching my third year as a full-time speaker, that it was great, you know, and I love speaking. I still speak to this day. COVID has kind of died it down a little bit, but I still speak. And what I found is that, you know, I felt like I wasn't really living in my truth, that speaking is great. It's a part of me.
Mhm.
But even during my time as Miss USA, a lot of my platform was based in serving veterans. So when I got the email, I looked at it like, wow, this is quite interesting. A nonprofit organization, CEO position. They're based in DC, where I'm located right now. Let's just shoot my shot and let me just apply and see what happens. I applied. I went through a few months of vetting and interviewing, and ended up getting the job. And it's just so amazing because as soon as I get the job, I've had it for about 2.5, 3 months, and then COVID hits. And then I'm really a speaker anymore. So my entire full-time position as a speaker was pretty much taken away because all of my gigs during 2020 were canceled. So I was able to actually, and although it sucked, but I was able to focus 100% on building SWAN. And that's kind of been my goal, even, this year. And as I continue to become CEO, that speaking is great. But now I feel like I am really living in my truth. And especially when we're talking about women veterans, not only am I serving veterans, I'm serving women specifically, who are the minority of the military. Right. So it is an amazing position to me. I love our board of directors. They're all very invested in what we do. And then I love our all women staff. They're also passionate about what we do. So every day I wake up thankful and truly just happy with what I do. I feel like I really am living and operating in the shoes that I'm meant to walk in. So I'm just thankful to be in this position.
Absolutely. For our audience, could you elaborate a little bit on what SWAN's mission is?
Absolutely. So we consider ourselves to be the voice of all military women, past, present, and future. Our organization is a research and advocacy-based organization. So you'll have veteran organizations that are maybe dedicated to homelessness. So if a veteran or a female veteran calls, or any veteran calls and says, I'm displaced and I have nowhere to stay, this organization might have an actual building with actual rooms, right? Mm-hmm. So that's not necessarily our organization. Our organization is based in, again, research and advocacy, but mostly we try to get to the foundational issues behind veterans issues. So mostly what we do is probably like 90% legislation. Mm-hmm. We are the go-to for a lot of congressmen and congresswomen that are looking to pass legislation that makes a long-term impact on veterans' lives. So basically everything that we do is in providing research and data that proves a disparity or proves an issue that we believe that needs change. So that's one portion of us. The second portion of us position. So what we have as case management in our resource portals, like our secondary, where as an organization, we found that a lot of these VSOs, veteran service organizations, a lot of them are very male focused in their resources and their services. It's such the truth, right? So you'll call around and you're looking for something that's, women specific services. And a lot of these organizations don't really offer that. So SWAN spent years going through and creating a resource portal filled with hundreds of organizations that have been proven to provide pro bono services for women's and women's needs. This resource portal is kind of our diamond in the rough. Like, it's so important to us. And what a woman might do, or a women veteran, female veteran might do, or service member will call us and say, I'm dealing with domestic violence. I need a lawyer. And we'll go through our resource portal and find a pro bono lawyer in their area. So it's all about, we don't provide the direct services to them, but we have created a portal and a database that has all verified female specific services for anyone that's within need. And we're always looking, just to throw out this plug, we're always looking for organizations and companies that are willing to provide pro bono resources. We always reach out and say, give us a call, give us an email, tell us what you do, what you offer. We'll have a phone call interview, make sure that, what you're offering is what you actually offer. And then we'll add you to the resource portal, and you may get 10 hits a month, or you may get 10 hits a decade, who knows? But just to have this organization or company within our resource portal is very important, because we want women to know that there are opportunities out there for them when they are in need.
We've we've been associated, well, when I say we, the Women Veterans Network, we've been associated with SWAN for a long time. When first started, I got to speak at a SWAN event in DC in 2017. And I think the thing that struck me the most were the number of women who talked about military sexual trauma. And I'm sitting back thinking,
Yes.
this is still a thing? Wait a minute, what's happening here? And then, of course, with everything that's been happening since then. And it was just, it brought it front of mind to me that this was still going on, which, just baffles my mind. I can't even believe this. But have you seen, since being CEO of SWAN, have you seen the instances of military sexual trauma go up? Or do you think that it's just a series of, it's more at the forefront now, that it's being brought to the surface more?
I believe it's being brought to the surface more. So we work directly with the SAPRO office, which is Sexual Assault Prevention and Prevention and, gosh, what does SAPRO stand for? I forgot what the R is. Oh, Prevention and Response Office. Mm-hmm. There we go. That's been created under the DoD. So we work directly with them, and we've actually assisted them in creating the CATCH program. So two things. One is that the SAPRO office released a DoD report on sexual assault within the military. And what we found is that it hasn't increased and it hasn't decreased. It's pretty much kind of just stayed the same, which for women, it's 1 in 4. So 1 in 4 women, when they join the military, they will be either assaulted or harassed at some point in their career. Men, it is 10%. So 1 in 10 chance that you will be assaulted or harassed within your military career. That has been the same statistic for decades now.
That's bad. That's horrible.
Yes, 25% chance is high. It's very high as a woman, and as a man, 10% is too high as well. What we found is that the DoD is definitely taking steps to be able to make an impact. I think they can move a little quicker on some things, but they did create, the SAPRO office did create the CATCH program, because what they found is that oftentimes in the military, when you have a predator and you have someone that has assaulted someone or shown signs of being dangerous, when you go to a different unit, everything that you did in that previous unit is pretty much erased and gone. This program kind of keeps up with these predators, and it does a secondary thing, which is when you go through and you go into the program or you go into the system and you say, Sergeant such and such assaulted me, and you fill out an entire report. It connects you with other survivors or other women or men that have reported this same predator too. Because oftentimes no one wants to come forward if they feel like they're the only one. Right. There's something about feeling like there's multiple. You feel a little bit more empowered. You feel less alone when there are multiple people that have had the same issue with this person. So it kind of leads us to be able to actually hold these people accountable, no matter where they are in the world. So that's one step. And this CATCH program is very new. I think it's about a year, 2 years old. It's a very new program. And there's some kinks in it that they're working out. But I do think that the DoD is making a lot of steps to be able to make this change, especially after PFC Vanessa Guillen and her situation down at Fort Hood. There's in the I Am Vanessa Guillen Act and all these things that are coming forward, and the Military Justice Improvement Act, and a bunch of things that are kind of passing through legislation on the Hill, where I see some change coming. I hate that that PFC Vanessa Guillen was kind of like our mortar to be able to make that change. But I do find that her story really resonated with a lot of people, and I am thankful for all the great things that's going to come out of the legislation that is being named after her. And I think it's going to be a lot of change taking place in the military the next few years.
Let's hope so. It needs to happen. And like yesterday, long time ago yesterday. So
yes.
two more questions. One, as CEO of SWAN, what kind of things are happening at SWAN that you would like our audience to know about? Any upcoming events or anything that you would like people to know about?
I do want to know that we're kind of doing a rebrand on SWAN since I've taken over. We're redoing our website and we're making it a little bit more interactive, where when a piece of legislation does hit the floor, that you're able to contact your local legislator, you're able to contact your congressman and congresswoman to ask them where do they stand on this piece of legislation.
Mm-hmm.
What we find is that our members want to be involved in what we're doing. They want to be able to email their people and say, okay, hey, the Deborah Sampson Act is coming up. What is your plan? How do you plan to vote? So we're going to have a legislative issues section of our website, which should be launching by March 1st.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to allow members and people that visit the website to be able to have pre-populated emails that go directly to their congressman and congresswoman. And this will allow them a quick, easy button click to be able to challenge these people that we voted into office, to make sure that they are keeping us in mind and the things that they vote for. So that's kind of the main focus that we've been focused on this year, mm-hmm. is running out more interactive ways to be able to involve our members.
All right, last question. If someone needs to get in contact with SWAN, how would they go about doing that?
Just go straight to our website, which is servicewomen.org. All of our information is there, including our email, phone number, and all of our social media accounts.
Mm-hmm. Well, Deshauna, thank you so much for being on Sisters in Service. It was such a pleasure having you. I know you have to go because you've got other things going on, but thank you so much for taking the time. And if you need to get in contact with SWAN, you have the information, or you can always contact me. And I will also put that on the website at Sisters in Service. I hope you enjoyed getting to know more about the Service Women's Action Network and SWAN CEO, Deshauna Barber, and that you will join us again for episode 13 on March 23rd, where I will have as my guest a local realtor who will reveal some great tips and tricks and information on using your VA benefit to buying a home. In the meantime, please be safe and take care of each other. Until next time.